So over this past weekend, of course, one of the biggest stories was the whole Bayonetta 3 situation. Boycott Bayonetta 3 was a very popular topic all of a sudden because of the voice actor who did Bayonetta in Bayonetta 1 and 2. She does not return for Bayonetta 3, and she decided to take to Twitter, break an NDA agreement, and basically tell her side of the story about why she's not reprising her role in Bayonetta 3, and it basically boiled down to money. People, of course, started forming opinions on this, being very vocal and outspoken about it, and pretty much demanding a boycott of Bayonetta 3. But if we're boycotting Bayonetta 3, I guess we're also boycotting The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. And you might be saying, well, what do those two things have to do with each other? Oh, I'll explain it in this video. Do not worry. But I want to catch you guys up to speed with the Helena Taylor situation. She's the voice actor. And then we'll get into how this impacts The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom and just shows you kind of the hypocrisy of people. Now, to start this off, I don't care what you do. If you want to buy a video game, buy a video game. If you want to boycott a video game, boycott a video game. It's your opinion. It's your money. Do whatever you want with it. It has nothing to do with me. The thing that I don't like is when you sort of champion that you are boycotting this and you're championing and trying to drum up people to support your cause on things like Twitter because you decided to not support this game for essentially only hearing one side of a tale when it came to the situation. That essentially creates sort of a hostile environment because then people will say, well, why isn't this person boycotting the game? Why isn't this person boycotting the game? Are they not a good person? Are you a better person than them? At the end of the day, I don't care what you think about me. If you think I'm a good person, thank you. If you think I'm a bad person, suck it. It has nothing to do with me. It's just my opinion on video games. So with the Helena Taylor situation, like I said, she decided to take to Twitter over the weekend and basically inform people why she was not reprising her role in Bayonetta 3. After some negotiations, she was offered a flat rate of $4,000 to reprise her role as Bayonetta in Bayonetta 3, to which she turned down. Now, a lot of people got very upset at that $4,000 amount because Bayonetta is somewhat of an iconic character. And I can understand that mentality. People grow accustomed to a certain character. I mean, look at me with Metal Gear Solid and David Hayter to Kiefer Sutherland. Like, it genuinely ruined that game for me, at least back in the day, because it was a completely new voice actor. Now, for me personally, the Bayonetta character, the Bayonetta voice, honestly, I didn't even notice it was different in all of the stuff with Bayonetta 3. I was not familiar with who Helena Taylor was until this whole thing hit the internet, but I can understand why people think that the $4,000 was like way too low because, I mean, to some people, it is going to be low. Now, it is worth mentioning that she is a union worker, meaning that this hourly rate, whatever this hourly rate was approved by the union. So it's kind of like a standard thing, meaning that the amount of time to do the dialogue for Bayonetta 3, whatever that was per hour, was going to equate probably to around $4,000. So, you know, is this a union problem? Is this a Platinum problem? Is this a Nintendo problem? Because people seem to be forgetting that Nintendo is heavily invested in this game. I mean, they pretty much are the reason why Bayonetta 3 is happening. You know, where's the disconnect with that? I do think voice actors should be paid better. You know, if that's the going rate for someone like that, that seems like an issue that you need to take up with the union and, you know, get higher rates for reprising roles or being characters or lending your voice because of, you know, you are valuable. Know your worth. There's nothing wrong with looking at an offer and being like, okay, well, this is too low. I'm not going to do this. And then moving on about your day. But I do want to say, some people feel that I'm simping for Platinum Games. I'm trying to defend Platinum Games. Are you new here? Are you new here? And if you are new here, please subscribe to the channel. Hit the subscribe button down below. But Platinum Games, look, I'm like the person who took who went out and said, does Bayonetta 3 have frame rate issues before this whole controversy ended up happening? I was the person that was saying, you know, Platinum Games looks very spooky. Look at a game like Babylon's Fall. I was the one who said that it was stupid for Wonderful 101 to have a Kickstarter campaign with Platinum Games at the helm, and then they opened up a new office right alongside of that sort of Kickstarter announcement. Like, no, I look at situations on an individual level. And during this situation, Platinum Games, you know, we're not going to get a statement from them because whereas Helena Taylor can come out and basically say, whatever, break her NDA agreement, a company, a big video game company, has to go through legal channels with attorneys and lawyers and stuff like that. Clear statements, say what they can say what they can't say. That's why Hideki Kamiya, you know, lost his shit on Twitter and then ended up deleting his Twitter account and then bringing it back, because you can't say things like that. An individual can say things, but a company, a corporation, an LLC, something that has many moving cogs, they can't really say it. But everyone seemed to be hung up on the $4,000 thing. That was not fair to Helena Taylor. Voice actors deserve more. And like I said, I agree with that. Know your worth, kings and queens. Do something that if somebody offers you a role or to do something and you think the money isn't good, then don't take it. But one of the things she brought up, and one of the things I really didn't like, was the fact that she was dogging Jennifer Hale for taking the role of Bayonetta 3 in one of her videos, which, first off, it feels very childish to do something like that. And secondly, I look at the history of work for Helena Taylor, and I look at the history of work for Jennifer Hale, and it's a night and day thing. Really, Helena has only done Bayonetta. That was her one thing. She hasn't done anything within the industry since 2014, whereas Jennifer Hale, you've heard her in pretty much every video game that you've played. So people are saying, well, you know, it's a money issue and they lowballed Helena Taylor because they don't have money and Jennifer Hale did it for nothing. It's like, you don't know that. You're making so many assumptions on this situation, which then of course lead to your virtue signaling boycott, because this was not fair for her. This was not fair to Helena Taylor, in your opinion, although this was approved by the union as a union worked rate. So really, are you blaming the right person? And plus, we've only heard one side of the story. But like I said, now it's time to boycott Tears of the Kingdom. Because if this is really the only thing that we're going on with this whole boycott, is that the amount of money that Helena Taylor was offered was not justified for the amount of work that was going to go into the game. We're assuming things, we're assuming, you know, all that sort of stuff. She said that it's a $1 million+ seller, and so they make all this $600 and something million, she said, which obviously goes to show she has no idea the success rate of Bayonetta, because that series is not making all that much money. But I digress. You know, she's allowed to have her opinion on this. But now it's time to rally the wagons, start our new fight, virtue signalers, because we've got a new kid on the block and we're going after the big N. We're going after Nintendo and we're taking them down, because they're worse than Platinum Games, even though it's Platinum Games and Nintendo with this, but they are way worse with this. And Tears of the Kingdom, we're taking you out, buddy. So amidst all this hoopla with Helena Taylor, of course, saying that her $4,000 was an insult, both considering her level of experience and the sales of the Bayonetta franchise, which, I don't know, that's kind of murky to me. But if you think that 4 bans isn't enough, like, I totally agree with that. Like, it depends on how much time you have to work. But now, Sean Chiplock, who, I don't know, that might be a name you're familiar with, it might not be, but he did the voice of Rivali, Tiba, and the Great Deku Tree in Breath of the Wild and Age of Calamity, was someone that came out and spoke about this. I was paid approximately $2,000 to $3,000 overall, because it was based on the total number of hours in the studio, which was higher because of the voice acting of 3 characters in a single game. I made more from voicing Spade/Dale in Freedom Planet 1, because that generously gave me sales royalties. So this individual, working on a Legend of Zelda game, voicing 3 characters in The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild and Age of Calamity, was paid less than Helena Taylor was for Bayonetta. Now you could sit there and say, well, Bayonetta was the main character of the game. You know, she probably had a lot of dialogue in it. But if you're going to compare, you know, apples and apples here, Bayonetta sales are nowhere near The Legend of Zelda. Nowhere near. You could take every single Bayonetta game, every single re-release of a Bayonetta game, and it's not touching Age of Calamity. Never mind Breath of the Wild. Never mind that game being just a huge monstrosity of game sales. No. We'll just talk about the spin-off game. And this individual was only given $2,000 and $3,000 to voice 3 different characters in there. So if we're gonna keep this energy with Helena Taylor, we need to keep this energy with everyone. We need to keep this energy with Nintendo and say, hey, we're boycotting Tears of the Kingdom. Oh, we're not going to do that, though, are we? We're not going to do that, though, are we? Because if you boycott all of these different things, and you take a hard stance on boycotting stuff, you'll live in a hut in the middle of the woods, because the world is not a fair place. I fully believe that voice actors should be compensated. I fully believe that people within the video game industry should be well compensated. There should be things like royalties for characters, because characters can become iconic. The problem is that the video game industry has grown at an alarming rate, thus overtaking Hollywood. And in Hollywood, people tend to get paid a little bit more than they do within the video game industry. Even though the video game industry is generating more money, there's a disconnect that companies have when it comes to paying people, and even the unions, because these are all union approved rates for the most part with this whole situation. So it's an unfortunate thing. Like, I definitely feel bad for Hellena Taylor. I don't think she should have done things in the manner that she should have, as far as, you know, airing out the dirty laundry, breaking an NDA because you're pretty much sabotaging your career, and then taking pot shots at the person who's replaced you feels very childish to me. You were upset that you were offered $4,000. I get that. I would be pissed if I was Bayonetta and they offered me $4,000. But the problem is, people don't understand this whole thing, and for her to come out and say boycott Bayonetta and just sort of, you know, negate all of the work that was done by all of these other people because one person had a bad experience with their work conditions is just silly to me. It's silly to me. I feel like there's so much more to this story that unfortunately a company will probably not be able to tell, because of the fact that, well, you know, they have to go through various channels because there's tons of people involved versus one individual. But at the same time, all things like this do are just create a hive of virtue signaling, where it's like, oh, well, you don't support them, well, you're a bad person because I supported them. You're not boycotting the game, you're a bad person because I'm boycotting the game. And it's just so silly to me. It's so ridiculous to me, because then people start looking in your closet, they start looking for your skeletons. Corey from the whole Naughty Dog situation, of course, voiced his displeasure about this situation. Somebody made a reference to a situation that was kind of similar. He, of course, went on the attack, got on the defense. Oh, it was completely different, you don't know the story. And it's like, well, we don't really know the story with this. Look, get your money. Get your money. I understand it. If you don't want to support a game, I understand it. It's your business, it's your money. But when you make a vocal stance and you're gonna boycott this one thing, but then I just brought up a worse, arguably worse situation with a first-party Nintendo game with Tears of the Kingdom, and you're just gonna completely ignore that, it just looks silly to me. And you could say it's whataboutism. I say it's consistency. I've seen people on Twitter, a very popular tweet that got thousands of retweets and like thousands and thousands of likes, suggesting that Platinum Games delay Bayonetta 3, give Hellena Taylor more money to reprise her role, and then release the game. And people are agreeing with this mindset. And in a kumbaya perfect world where the world isn't cold and you don't need to bundle up, sure, that would be a good idea. This game has already gone gold. This game has already been printed. This game is done. Okay, it's not like they're still working on the game 2 weeks before release. The game is done. It's done. It's over. It's something that moves on. But people romanticize this whole thing with the video game industry, and they think it's not, you know, a business. They care about you. They care about their consumers. They care about their workers. They don't. It's another big corporation. Oh, man. I think I've been fair with this video. Some people are probably going to get mad anyways, but if you're boycotting Bayonetta 3, I expect you to boycott The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. And if you're not boycotting Tears of the Kingdom, but you are boycotting Bayonetta 3, I don't know, this is kind of weird to me. But it doesn't matter. It's just my opinion. At the end of the day, I'm one person. I'm one person. But if you feel that it's a silly situation, don't be afraid to speak up about it, because I feel like those voices get dumbed out, and people just, you know, these little anime icons on Twitter, they want to make you feel like the biggest piece of shit in the world. Let me know where you stand on this situation, though. You know, obviously, I think we can all agree. At the end of the day, I think we can all agree that these wages for these employees need to be raised. I mean, you're making good money with video games, so they need to raise the wages of it. But was there a reason why she was only offered $4,000? Was she a problem behind the scenes? You know, why was Jennifer Hale so quick to do the role instead of her? Was it really a bad workplace? There's just so many questions, and to assume everything with it, I think is very silly. I think if we ever get this full story, it's probably going to paint a different picture. But by that time, we'll all have boycotted Bayonetta 3. We'll all have boycotted Tears of the Kingdom, and we'll be playing nothing. We'll be playing nothing. And as always, guys, thank you for checking out this video. If you are new to the channel, like I said before I was a smart ass to you, make sure you hit that subscribe button, like, comment, and share. Hit that bell notification as well. And as always, I'll catch you guys on the next video. Later.